We have a Zeus reveal. He's real. He's alive. Tell the people what your full Greek name is.
Βασίλης Ηλιόπουλος.
Spell it letter by letter.
Β, Α, Σίγμα, Ι, Λάμδα, Ή, Σίγμα.
I don't remember when you were first aired.
I had random people showing up to me, calling me Zeus. That wasn't cool.
Being spread in the world. Did you say that wasn't cool?
I like Poseidon better. It's funny, like going back to how Greece started. I want to do a history lesson, but I'll be very brief, and because it matters, right?
I
Like,
know it does matter, but
yeah.
that's one thing. You know you're Greek if you're consistently giving history lessons.
Very true. I thought that your energy was so vibrant. I felt you around the house in our living room, even when we weren't talking. Like I knew exactly where you were, what you were doing. I liked your independence. You didn't need to be around people all the time. You were fine being alone in a public setting. I've been waiting to meet someone that ignited some of those feelings to me. And that's how it was kickstarted on my end. I was intrigued.
And the rest was history, and now we're on a beach in Greece.
Copyright that.
Yeah. For those who are deep enough to get it,
But profound enough to not care.
you're listening to Consciously Unconscious.
This is my microphone now.
Yeah, but you can't move it around too much.
Forever.
Yeah.
We're really trying to nail the quality here in the middle of a remote Greek island. So we've got Voss on the phone and me on the mini mic.
You feel good?
Feel great.
This is crazy. We're here. We're live. Kalispera.
Καλησπέρα. Τι κάνεις?
Closer to your mouth, please.
Καλησπέρα.
You have to talk into it like, look how close I'm holding my mic to my mouth.
I feel scared to talk to my phone that closely
Why?
because it does bad things
It does bad things
to
to
you.
me. It give me radiation. Yeah,
But don't ignore what I asked you just now. Τι κάνεις?
Τι κάνεις? Είμαι καλά.
Bravo.
We've been practicing our Greek. It's honestly been the hardest part about being here is trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Everything based on context clues and my lovely translator here. But we're live from Astypalia, which is a tiny little Greek island with a population of about 1,000 people, even less in the winter. And we've just been like living our little Greek island fairy tale dream. But this episode is so special because clearly we have a reveal of someone who's been talked about on the podcast for a couple months now. I don't remember when you were first aired.
I think it's when you guys called me Zeus.
Well, of course, babe.
And I had random people showing up to me, calling me Zeus.
Yeah, that's conscious and
That wasn't cool.
being spread in the world. Did you say that wasn't cool?
I like Poseidon better.
Well, you didn't get a choice. Sorry. I think that's pretty cool to be recognized.
It is.
Redeem yourself.
Top of the gods. Yeah, okay, you're right. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool
very
to be
cool.
recognized.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have a Zeus reveal. He's real. He's alive. Tell the people what your full Greek name is.
Βασίλης Ηλιόπουλος.
Spell it letter by letter.
Β, Α, Σίγμα, Ι, Λάμδα, Ή, Σίγμα. Βασίλης. Ή, Λάμδα, Ι, όμικρον, Π, όμικρον, Υ, Λάμδα, όμικρον, Σίγμα, Ηλιόπουλος.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Everything is a mouthful here in Greece. It's funny because we were talking when we first got here, and the Greek language is kind of like, I don't know, Japanese or Chinese, where you cannot understand anything. Just like, you're listening to Italian or Spanish or something of a Latin origin. You can maybe pick up on a few things. You could be talking so much shit and I would never know. But here we are, and I'm learning. And the most important thing that I've learned is my coffee order.
Mm. Can you tell the people
Yeah.
how you order coffee in Greece?
I'm thinking of it because now I'm getting nervous. Εγώ θα ήθελα ένα φρέντο καπουτσίνο, σκέτο παρακαλώ. Έχει
Και
και Έχετε galafromis?
Bravo.
And then someone would say, "Hey, we have it."
Yeah, we do.
That's me ordering a Freddo cappuccino with oat milk. Sketo. No cream, no sugar, because they know how to make coffee here in Greek.
And with oat milk.
And with oat milk.
Yeah.
So that's the basics. That's the most important thing to know. You start learning English like very, 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 very young. When did you start learning English?
I was around 5 or 6. I had this private teacher come into my house, and we would do everything but learn English. But that was my first introduction to the language. We shoot basketball, like paper balls, into like a human-made basket in my room.
Fun.
So she was most like a nanny and less a
That your
English
mom
teacher.
sent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of learned a few words here and there, and then I went to school, and English is one of the languages that you learn.
Yeah.
And then I watched TV shows and Hollywood films, and
That's what people say, is that's one of the most easy ways to learn is by consuming media.
yeah.
Well, you're trilingual, huh?
Yeah.
A cultured man, a global citizen. Well, we wanted to first start by telling you what the fuck we've been up to.
Yeah.
We've been together for 2 weeks now.
2 weeks. The longest weeks of my life.
2 weeks feels like nothing and also everything all at once. I feel like we've been kind of teasing at this relationship on the podcast for a while, but Boss and I have been long distance for a handful of months now. And so this is really like a big chunk of time that we've gotten to spend with one another, because often we were just back and forth for 4 or 5 days at a time. So maybe this is the most consecutive time we've ever spent with one another.
I think it is.
And
I don't
maybe
think
the
we've
last.
gone. I don't think we've gone past 10 days.
No.
Yeah.
How do we feel?
I feel good. You?
No, you can't just say I feel good. This is a podcast, my love.
This is a podcast, you're right. I think we definitely went through phases, and it's a different setting for sure. We're on vacation, we're traveling, we're on the move. So it's not like you're staying at my place or vice versa. And, we're in our comfort zones. So we see different sides of each other. And there's definitely been some learning for sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. To put it in a politically correct way. Yeah, I mean, truly, it's a big step for anyone, regardless how long you've been together, but especially people who are still on a learning curve of a new relationship. And anyone spending consecutively 12 days, 24 hours, 14 days.
14 days.
I don't know why
That's 2 weeks for you.
in my head it was just like 2 weeks is 12 days. Spending that long, day in, day out, all day, every day for anyone with anybody is a lot. But yeah, we definitely are navigating new things, like your particularity and my irritability. I'm also in my luteal phase, so
Yeah. It's coming.
No, it's here.
It's here.
It's here.
Yeah.
But I think we've been really productive at the way that we have moved through conflict and been able to communicate what we need and how we travel. We talked about this a little bit on the previous episode with Amanda, of like choosing a travel companion that you can be really honest and clear and open with. And everyone has preferences on how they spend their time. And of course, when you first start traveling with someone, it's just like, yeah, sure, let's do this, let's go here, let's do that. And you kind of settle into, a larger chunk of time where you start to get tired and get a little more comfortable and get a little bit more particular about what those preferences are and how you want to follow them. And so we've been trying to meet each other in the middle. What do you think some of the ways that we've been productive with our conflict resolution?
Wow, we're going straight in.
We're here. We got to hook the people.
We have to hook the people, yeah. I think talking, for sure. Like, keeping an open dialogue has helped me. I mean, it's might sound like easy to like grasp and like think about, but it is a big step for me personally. Like, I haven't been talking as much with my partners in the past, and giving me the space to express myself and the freedom to say something that might not align with what you expect. Um, has been powerful and very dynamic. So conversations, dialogue, you might have some emotion. Obviously, you can see that I tend to bring a lot of emotion to my daily life and some of my responses. So receiving that with grace, but also embracing it from my end has been like very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really special. I think this is the first time that I've ever felt secure enough to be able to have productive conflict resolution. I think that a lot of like the lack of productivity and how to get beyond a problem, an issue, an emotion, a conflict is because the person doesn't feel safe in the relationship. And I know based on my past relationships, like anytime conflict would arise, I either would freak out in this kind of like anxious, yelling, problematic way or completely retreat, both because of the fear of abandonment and the relationship crumbling and someone leaving me and someone thinking something poorly about me. And I feel like the only way that you're able to have really productive conversations where you meet in the middle about things that you want to do or how you want to spend your time or what you need from the other person or where you want to fucking eat, like you're able to have those disagreements without it being a blown up fight because we built a foundation of security, which is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's stemming from trust and transparency into where we currently are, where we're going, right? Like what are we? Like I think that's the question that everyone is asking each other, like when they're entering into a relationship. Like, okay, what
are we?
Yeah, it's the question from the man's perspective is you just wish it never comes, but eventually it comes, and you're like, oh shit, now it's getting serious. So I think from the start we were like, you know, how we started, and I think we're gonna get into it later down the road. But
once we have our beverage of the week in hand,
beverage, but I think that has allowed me to enter this with such more freedom, and not be afraid or scared of the future, but living in the present. We've talked a lot about that. So yeah, it's been very powerful to go back to that because I feel like I can show you the truthful part of myself and how I go about my character, my personality.
Love it. Love you. Before we get any further into this episode, it's time for the beverage of the week. And we have a very, very special traditional Greek beverage that I'm going to let Voss take you through. And baby, on every episode, there's a song about the beverage of the week.
There is a song.
And you have to be the one to perform.
Why? You always rock your performances.
Baby, you have to be the performer. You knew you weren't going to get off scot-free for the beverage of the week performance.
Wasn't expecting this moment.
It can be simple.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a beat.
Please.
Okay.
Beveragina of the week. Beveragina of the week.
What's the beverage? Hey.
Ouzo.
What's ouzo? Hey.
Liquor, alcohol, all at once.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We rocked that.
That was good.
Yeah. We should copyright this and...
Yeah. Please don't steal our...
Yeah.
Please don't steal our swag, our vibe. What's that song? Please don't steal my vibe. Please don't steal
Don't kill my vibe.
Don't kill
Kendrick
my vibe.
Lamar.
Okay, well, don't kill it, don't steal it. Okay, Lovey, tell us about ouzo. Mini from the mini market.
From the
Anytime there's like no such thing as like a big grocery store here. There are what they call supermarkets. So we call them supermarkets. But there's mini markets on every corner, and every time we pass one, I just say mini market, because that's technically how you say it in Greece.
How about the big market?
Supermarket.
Things are simple in Greece.
Avocado, carotto.
Now Duolingo speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So this is what my dad was drinking and like all of the people in his age when I was growing up. we would sit like we did today in taverna, like by the water. Usually it's a summer drink. Um, and you put it in some ice, and it dissolves the liquor. It's very strong without it.
Yeah, what's the alcohol percentage? Are we gonna get fine?
We're gonna get pretty fine. 40% alcohol.
What's that comparative to? Moonshine? Bootleg and moonshine?
I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out. All right, we're gonna pour ourselves some 40% mini ooze.
Ouzo.
I know, but I'm calling it. Its nickname is ooze.
That's a good one. And this
Well,
actually,
everyone deserves a nickname.
please give her some clap. This one is the one that my dad used to drink as well.
Oh, you picked it specifically.
Specifically,
what's the brand name?
It's
in case anyone wants to order it on the black market.
And yeah, well,
we can bring some home to anyone requesting.
Yes,
for maybe a small fee.
Some 10 lucky winners.
Nice, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
If you repost any reel from this episode on your story, we will bring home a mini bottle of ouzo for you. 40% ooze.
That's a deal.
Pick it up.
All right. This is ouzo mini Mytilinnis.
Say it again.
Ouzo mini από τη Mytilini, which is the place that it was created.
Okay.
It has there's different brands, but this one, for some reason.
Just for the fucks of it, can you describe this in Greek so that people can hear you speak Greek? It doesn't matter what you say, but just like...
I mean, it does matter. For all the Greeks.
Yeah, for all the Greek listeners. Yeah, describe it. Just like say a couple things.
Ναι, έχει μια ωραία γεύση, σχετικά γλυκό, πολύ δυνατό το αλκοόλ και πολύ δροσερό θα έλεγα με τον πάγο. Maybe let's empty
the water already. Okay, our ice is melted. Whoa, there's a lot in there.
And we can add some more. Do not step on that.
Yeah, we're just dumping out the water on the porch. Okay. Whoa, why is it coming out like that? Do you see how it's getting cloudy?
Yes.
But why?
The combination of the water will get it cloudy.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Smells like black licorice. Okay.
Okay.
Yamas.
Yamas.
Segapo.
Segapo.
That means cheers, I love you. Holy fuck. This will ruin you.
It gets better as it goes.
I'm going to let the ice melt. Whew, okay. Well, this is, I think, second time trying ouzo, because the first time that we tried it was the big fat Greek wedding that we went to a couple days ago.
Right.
And I decided to drink everything under the sun. It actually was quite out of character for me because I don't often drink anymore, but Voss took me as his plus one to one of his closest friends' weddings, and his close friend is married to an American. So they did an American celebration and they did a Greek celebration, and you got to go to both. And I'm curious to have you explain the differences between both ceremonies.
Well, the American one was very small. It was just a family, some friends. We went up to the bride's family home up in Lafayette. So we gathered there. They brought someone that conducts weddings, someone with the power to...
An ordained minister. Did you know I'm an ordained minister?
You've told me that.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the power vested in me by the Universal Life Church.
So they brought someone like you.
Yeah, basically. You know, people should start hiring me out for that. I would be a vibe. If someone needs someone to officiate? If someone needs someone to officiate their wedding, I'm for hire.
We need to diversify your income, and that's the perfect way to do it.
I'm plugging myself right
now.
Yes,
there you go. Forgot we're live.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to talk about diversifying income at the moment.
How about generating some?
Yeah, let's start with that. Okay, so the weddings, baby, keep going.
Yeah. So super like smaller scale versus what you experienced 2-3 days ago. The one that we went to, Odysseus, who got married to Katya. Odysseus and his family are very traditional. I think they're probably one of the most genuine Greeks I've ever met in my life as a family. You know, himself, his father, his mom.
Describe what makes like a traditional Greek though, so people can understand.
Yeah, it's truthful, like very real with their reactions, kind, welcoming, like they're gonna make you feel like you've known each other for 15, 20 years, even though you just met,
Yeah, it is.
right?
It's very your house is my house. Come
Yes.
in. I'm you, you're me. It's very,
Yeah.
very open.
And
I
just
don't know you, but
very,
I'm gonna kiss you on the cheeks and
yeah,
give you.
you probably felt that, right? In that wedding?
I mean, yeah, just like I think that's a big distinction to make culturally, which is what we're trying to describe to people, right? Is like if you don't know anything about like, oh, what is a Greek? What is Greece like? What does it mean to be at a big fat Greek wedding? For an example of cultural immersion, it is, yeah, I mean, it's very familial. It's very generous is a huge word that I would say is like, here, have, yes, you, take, drink, eat, play, dance. Like, it's so celebratory. It's so generous. You can keep going, but I'm trying,
But I'll just
but
go.
I'll describe it for everyone. But I'm trying to like give people classic distinctions of like what makes someone traditionally Greek.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's staying in the present, like really being aware of what's going on, like whether it's happiness, or sadness or rage. Like you see both sides. Like people are very emotional here and emotionally present into their lives.
Like when you ask someone like, how are you? In the US, they'll just say like, I'm good.
Yeah,
Like here, they'll be like, no, I'm having a terrible fucking
yeah,
time because my life is really
yeah.
shitty.
I mean, today was a prime example. We went to this restaurant like at the bottom of the hill, like we were literally like it was at the end of this island when we drove with the four-wheeler, which we've rented, and it was the only restaurant that exists within a 15, 20 kilometer radius. And we just got there. The shop opened at 2. It was like 2:45,
Yeah.
and
It was just this like,
just
oh, yeah,
one.
yeah, in the
There was this
kitchen.
whole yeah sitting there in her like big chair, who was the mama of the whole like family over there, and then there was the cook who was her daughter, and owned the place, and probably was passed down from the mama, and she was like in
So
action,
overwhelmed.
overwhelmed, like preparing like the food that I saw the kitchen because it was open. Like she had no food there at all, and there was like 10 tables.
Yeah. But she said too, she was just like, I'm overwhelmed. I can't,
Yes,
not, I can't serve you, but like,
you're
give
gonna
me,
have to wait.
give me a
Yeah, you're
second.
gonna have to wait. Like this is what's up. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I sympathize with her a lot, and I think I've coming back here, I've been able to sympathize with my people because it's it's different coming from the same town, sharing the same like experiences. Like even in this island, you can tell some of the differences that exist between Athenians, which is where I'm from, in Athens, versus islanders, and how just a bit more direct people are here. Um, they care about profit a lot. They care about making money because this is their whole livelihood this summer,
Here.
right? Yeah, they're working for 3-4 months of the year to get by, and I think you feel that in the interactions and um, going to their shops, like, but also part of me wants to spend my money here versus somewhere else.
Totally. I really feel that. I really feel we went into this, but we have so much to say about what we've been doing for the last 2 weeks. Every single day has been so packed with this wedding that we went to, which I still want to go back to because it was just so fun
Yes.
and we have to describe it. But weddings and boats and ATVs and laying at the beach and like, I don't even, just eating amazing food and being really present. But we went to this tiny little town, Haraki?
Halki.
Haliki, um, on Naxos, which was where the wedding was. And we rented a car and we drove around through all the little towns for the day. And there was this tiny little shop, and it was this woman who was a weaver. She had this loom in the store and all of these textiles and like rugs and blankets and pouches and bags and napkins. And we were just chatting with her, and she weaves all winter long in her workshop and then sells all summer long. And when I say she had hundreds of pieces, I mean for months, all she does day in and day out is weaves these things.
Mhm.
And they're intricate and they're beautiful and they're amazing. And I feel so much better going and supporting and spending $150 there than like being in a city. I mean, I love Athens. We'll get to Athens too, but like a city is a city is a city. It's been really special to be on some of these more remote places where, yeah, you might be able to see a little bit more clearly attributes of what a traditional Greek person cares about and values. Like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe in a bigger city like Athens, there are a lot more of the westernized, commodified, capitalistic influences that kind of just blend more into commodified culture like the US. And so it's been cool to see here some more, like you were saying, just like very traditional experiences.
Yeah. No, it's stuck in time. And I think you see that from the development of the real estate to like the people that live here over the winter. It's
Yeah.
1,000 people, right? Like that's nothing.
I was on Zillow the other day trying to find how much these houses are. Boss was like, yeah, Zillow does not exist here. Not a thing. Not a thing.
Thank God. When Zillow comes here and takes the market, it'd be a bad day for humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's under the table apparently if you want to buy a property on this island. There's no such thing as real estate.
Yeah, so I was thinking about it. If you want to buy property, you have to talk to the 1,000 islanders, receive like the green light to exist on this island.
Do you think we'd receive the green light?
I think it'd be close. I think we need to come here another 5 summers and spend like 3 months. And then people would welcome us.
I'd have to learn Greek.
And you would have to learn Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
so,
trying.
5 years.
All right. So yeah, give me 5 more years.
Yeah.
Rewind to the wedding. Like, how does it feel to be back in traditions that you were raised on? Like, the dancing was so fun to watch. The food, the eating, the ouzo, like, there are just like both macro and micro representations of what you were born and raised around. Like, A, how does that feel to be back immersed in a culture that's so true to you? And B, like, tell us about some of the things that are most important to you when you come home that you want to experience and see and do.
Yeah, I think for the first part, the ceremony was like grounding. It really was. They got married at this church above the hill, overlooking the waters of the Aegean Sea. You had, the priest conducting the ceremony. You had the priest boy.
Oh, yeah.
You had the priest boy singing, and he took his role very seriously. He was about 10 years old, and
maybe younger. He did amazing.
He did amazing. He knew the words. He knew everything. What points you should sing, you should recite. So I was very impressed by him, but also just religion. I think for us in Greece, it has played a big role for my generation. Probably more than the kids growing up at this point around the world, but especially Greece. And it's always nice to come back to a church, see a loved one of mine getting married and receive that blessing, and really see 2 cultures come together with the American one and her family, Katya's family, and all these, and just come together, and I thought that was very cute to start the whole ceremony. And then before that, we went to his villas and we did some other traditions.
The pie in his face or something?
We shaved the... What's up, Rex?
There's a dog below us.
We love Rex.
His name is Rex.
You shave the groom.
Yes,
shave the groom. So we put some shaving cream and we pretended like we shaved him because he didn't want to shave his beard. But we danced, a lot of dancing. We brought traditional music.
Meats. Lots of meats.
A lot of meats. And we just, like kissed the groom goodbye to go farewell into the sunset and sign his life away.
Look what you have to look forward to. Don't sound so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool blending of cultures. So then, the ceremony happens. You're chucking rice at the bride and groom. Everyone's dancing. Well, actually, you know what? No one was really dancing in the ceremony. The ceremony was quite demure, quite mindful. But you throw the rice and they walk out and blah, blah, blah. And then we went down for the dinner. And this wedding probably had, 200 people? I mean, it was large. It was large. And fuck you not, I have never eaten as much food as I've eaten in my like I can't even hyperbolize. I can't say this lightly.
Good word.
Yeah.
It's a Greek word, by the way.
Hyperbolize. Hyperbolize.
Υπερβολή. Voli means shoot. Hyper means going above the shot.
She is more Greek than she knows.
Good stuff.
But like back to the word generous, I mean just like plate after plate after plate after wine after wine after wine. All of this came back to the first time that I tried ouzo, which was at this wedding after I tried every other liquid alcohol.
You did.
On the premises.
You did.
And then we went skinny dipping afterwards, and then we went home and didn't wake up for 14 hours. Actually,
we did that 3 hours after.
We're not talking about that. I tried to prepare a bit of a surprise that went awry for his birthday. So we'll leave it at that.
We can skip that.
We'll skip at that. Okay, baby. So tell us, I mean, we're back in Greece, like back with your family, back with your home, but tell us like what your childhood was like growing up in a different country, and then maybe like guide us through that transition into why you decided or why you had these dreams as you were moving into adolescence to leave.
Yeah. I didn't know any better. It was my childhood. It was my country. And think you start in your own country and then you span out if you have that like almost bacteria of like seeing the world and like seeing what's out there. I grew up in the 2000s, like late 1990s.
Us is a baby.
Late 1990s. I'm a proud Gen Zer.
Yeah.
I say that to a lot of people and they make fun of me because like, oh, Gen Zers, they suck. But I think we have an interesting take, especially the older ones in 80s, 90s, and the technological immersion that happened within the 2000s. But yeah, it was just a different life, really, compared to an American like upbringing.
How? Be specific.
I'd say the distances are much smaller. You get to walk to a lot of places. You don't get to drive on highways to go to the high school. You get to walk or take the bus, or your parents drive you, and it's like a 10-minute drive. You rely a lot on neighbors to take care of your children when you're away. Friendships are just real. Like people and relationships matter a lot, and I know they matter all around the world, but in Greece, like it felt to me like they just had more gravity and more at stake because of that emotion that I talked about earlier.
Yeah, the collective upbringing is interesting because people in the US are very secular about how and who raises their children. And even in places like Japan or other countries in Europe, there is very much this reliance on everyone takes care of the youth together. It's our job to collectively raise and create community. Even like we are staying at, I mean, we're island hopping now, but we're staying at his childhood home in Athens. And one of the stories that your mom told was when she had Anastasia, which is his sister, and she was crying and she couldn't calm her down, and it was the middle of the night. Like your neighbor just came over and knocked on the door and said, "Let me help," and helped her as a single mom, like put her in the bath and calm her down. And like it was the middle of the night and she heard that she couldn't calm the baby down from next door and she came over and she helped. Like that would never, ever happen in the US. People are feeling here like they're less protective of themselves because they have faith in the goodness of the people around them.
Yeah, I'd say it's a different societal structure.
Why do our feet look purple? Oh my God.
Maria, please clean this Airbnb.
Yeah. We love
We love you though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
yeah,
a bit more raw.
Yeah, and it's funny, like going back to how Greece started, how we went from, I don't want to do a history lesson, but I'll be very brief, and because it matters, right?
I know it does matter, but that's one thing. You know you're Greek if you're consistently giving history lessons.
Very true. Very true. A lot of history here, though.
So much.
Like everywhere we go, we see ruins, we see connections to like the born of Christ, the birth of Christ, and history from there. But for us, obviously, we have a rich history with ancient Athens, and dating back to the 1400s when you had the Ottomans and the Turks take over Greece essentially for 400 years, and then going from the 1400s to the 1821 when the Greek revolution happened and we gained back our independence. So it aligns with the U.S. in terms of when the U.S. was born. But it's just so different. The values that this society has been built on, I think, tells a lot about kindness, holistic growth, and what we talked about with raising your children as a neighborhood. Like, I was going out in the street and I was playing with all my neighbors. We're playing soccer every day. Every day we're out on the street and then playing soccer on the streets. And then I would go to my neighbor's house and we would have dinner. And I'd come back at home at 10, 11 p.m. And my mom would be like, all right, brush your teeth, go to bed. And then you're going to school.
A little bit more laissez-faire in terms of the parenting.
Yeah, totally. So much more innocent.
Yeah. I think that really, in my understanding, like, does come from safety or feeling more safe. Like, I think that I don't know the actual statistics of crime, but to me, oftentimes what people ask me, which I'm sure you've heard me say, is like, oh, when you're traveling, when you're here and there and everywhere by yourself, like, aren't you scared? Aren't you nervous? And I'm like, no, I'm more scared when I go to the grocery store in the United States. I'm more scared when I go to a movie theater. Like, it feels very safe, not just here on these islands. And I'm sure there's certain parts of Athens, of course, which are lower income or less safe. And I think that maybe like people in the US are so helicopter parent or so connected to keeping their children close and parenting them and keeping an eye on them is because we've been trained that like it's not safe out there for them. It's not safe out there for them to interact with people who are dangerous.
And it's also how the towns and the cities are structured and are built. Like, you have walkways and pathways everywhere you go. Tell the people how much we've driven versus how much we've walked and taken public transportation.
Yeah.
It's nothing compared being in San Francisco and California, which is where I live, Berkeley. Like, you have a lot of walking spots. But LA, for example, like, you're not going to walk through LA unless you're like in Hollywood or like Newport. You're not going to walk through any of those like big cities. Like, I mean, New York is a different beast, but here I feel like there's much more landmass for you to explore by foot, which is the true way and just mean of transportation that humans had.
Yeah.
I think for me that's very important. I walk to my job in Berkeley. I go down the hill and I go on campus and I love it. Instead of, all right, let's go into the car, open the door. Oh shit, I forgot my keys. Go back into the house. Like,
sit in traffic. Find a parking spot. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's cool that you've translated that into your current lifestyle. I'm super excited to be in a more walkable, less drivable city because it is really. Yes.
Dun 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 dun. Have you told the people what's going on, or?
I think that maybe they know.
Oh, they do?
I don't know. I'm moving to California. Berkeley, conveniently. And I'm inheriting a boyfriend, a house, and a dog. So
the full package, yeah.
Really. But we're here right now, and that's what matters. If you've been feeling stuck or like your energy is off or you're craving deeper healing or purpose, I want to introduce you to a program that will genuinely alter the entire course of your life. There is a program called Open by Rooted Reiki Academy, created by one of our dear friends, Nikki, who some of you might know on Instagram as It's Nicolette Marie. Shout out, Nikki. We love you. Open is a 10-week Reiki 1 and 2 certification and attunement program, but it's not just your classic, like, get a certification in 6 hours and peace out situation. It's a slow, sacred, and supported process that's all about helping you come home to yourself. You'll get access to deep healing experiences, think guided ceremonies, breath work, energy clearing, and Reiki teachings that go way beyond the basics. So we're talking nervous system regulation, shadow work, chakra healing, cord cutting, you name it. It's truly stuff that no one else is really teaching in these Reiki programs. Honestly, I went through my Reiki training last year in Thailand, and I wish that it included half the stuff that Nikki's doing in her program and what she's offering. So whether you want to start your own healing business or you're just trying to feel more grounded or powerful, more like yourself again, this is it. So if you DM Nikki and tell her you came from Consciously Unconscious, she's giving you 10% off of the program. Her next group program starts July 30th. So enrollment is open starting now. And you can choose the base, the VIP track, anything that suits what works for you. But head to her Instagram or reikiwithnikki.com for details. We'll link everything in the show notes below. But we love you, Nikki, and we love what you're doing. And we can't wait to hear about who chooses to join her on this journey. Tell us what your turning point was when you decided that you wanted to move to the US.
I'd say some pressure from my parents. I wanted to experience something different. I played competitive tennis professionally and like in junior like tournaments when I was a kid. So tennis was a huge part of my life growing up, and competitive sports ever since I started playing when I was 6. I played my first tournament when I was 10. I won it. And then I didn't look back ever since, and was traveling the world, and Greece and Europe, just playing tennis. And that was the only thing I knew growing up, and I was good at it. So the age of 17 and 18 came, and I was like, okay, what now? Like, do I actually go for it and try and become a professional tennis player, or do I look my life head on and decide if there's a different path for me? And that's where the US came, and they have an amazing development system when it comes to collegiate athletes that doesn't really exist in Europe. And, coaches started reaching out, universities started showing their interest, and I was like, I could be cool. Actually leaving and starting a new life in quotes, just something different. I was excited to see. I was not scared at all. I think my upbringing and my experiences have prepared me like the right way to leave my home, leave my family, my friends, my comfort zone, and go to this new exotic California state. But I'd say the traveling beforehand allowed me to do so pretty conveniently. Yeah.
When you showed up, did you know anyone? Like, what was that integration like for you to just be like, whoa, I live in the US now? I mean, it was probably easier because you were placed on a team where you were kind of immediately handed a community of people. But in terms of cultural differences,
I think you had said to me before you had visited the US before. It wasn't your first time in the US, but in terms of cultural differences of like, whoa, people move differently here, people eat differently here, people talk differently here, people's humor and sarcasm is different here. Like, what were some of the things that popped out to you at first as like, I'm not home anymore?
I still remember the first day that I landed.
And your first meal was Chipotle.
First meal was Chipotle.
How much more American could you get?
Right. My coach picked me up, my tennis coach. He picked me up from the airport. So I immediately had a person that I could rely on. Shout out Niall. He was a big part of my life, huge role model, and just that connection link, connective tissue between tennis and you land and myself. But yeah, he picked me up. We went to Chipotle. He showed me around campus.
Were you like, damn, this Chipotle is dank?
I had been to the US another time beforehand. So I'd been to Texas in Austin, and one thing that shocked me was the portions. The food portions are so much bigger. Extremely bigger. And the highways, the cars, how big they were, just
everything's big.
Everything, the size, yeah. Just like, as a 15, 16-year-old, you're like, oh, damn, that's like a bigger world.
You came at 15?
Yeah. I was 16.
Your first visit, but then you came 17, 18 to college.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I played some tournaments over there. But yeah, Chipotle, like I had no idea. Like talking about a language barrier, I had no idea how to order. It was, okay, I want that.
Yeah, just point.
And just that concept of picking up your ingredients as you go through a line and then paying at the end, that doesn't exist in Greece. And probably still doesn't. That's just an American / like westernized
that's funny,
like food pickup experience. So for me, I was walking to the store and I was like, All right, what is this place? What are we doing here?
Yeah. Someone go ahead of me so I can watch.
Yeah.
I'll have what he's having. Yeah. Okay. So everything was big. Obviously, like dining experience is different. What about like cultural connection, like people's humor or sarcasm or the way that they relate to you in a one-on-one setting?
It was California aligns well with Europe.
Mm,
People are very are coming from different cultures. You
mhm.
have a huge diversity. Campus was a bubble in itself, so I didn't feel a huge change adjusting into campus life. I was mostly, around my teammates, just some friends, um, and international students. So I had a good mix of people to interact with. Um, Obviously, all covered by the westernized, commercial, capitalistic, like umbrella
Mm.
that exists all around the U.S., which was sweet in the beginning. I was almost blinded by what it
The
gives
American
you.
dream.
Yeah, it's cool. Like you can easily get lost into buying like getting more food,
And overindulgence. I mean, like the seven
overindulgence, Le
deadly
Maria.
sins, just like gluttony, greed,
Yes.
wrath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like all of those instincts were like instigated
Mm,
a lot. But eventually I started to pick up on who I am. It was culturally, and my identity was rattled a little bit
sure.
because I was still being shaped at that point, right? And I have to go into this new environment, and I know who I am at that point, but how do people perceive me? How do they accept me? Um, Even my language, right? My accent disappeared slowly because I had to blend in.
I know, I don't want your accent to ever
Yeah,
disappear.
me neither. So unconsciously, no plug intended, you do things that, that's a good one. You do things that you have to do to fit in.
Yeah.
So I had to really dig deep at some point when I was graduating and during COVID, after everything was said and done with college, to figure out, okay, I am Greek. I come from this magnificent place. I've grown up. I'm around very truthful and real people. I'm not gonna hide that. That's who I am. And if you don't like that, I don't really care. But that's gonna be my core identity.
Did you,
That's who I
and you
am.
tried to hide that for a while? You feel you tried to
I'll probably like
stifle it?
cover it
Yeah.
slightly.
To fit in, like you said,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard. I mean, Greece as well was in a tough spot financially during the 2010s. Huge financial crisis. People were out in the streets, including a lot of my friends. They didn't have food on their table, literally. They couldn't pull money out from the banks. I mean, the recession was at bottoms. The GDP debt to GDP ratio was above 200%, which is like forbidden for any economy. And I felt that. A lot of people around Europe, especially, but also the world, were like, oh, yeah, Greeks are poor. Greeks are lazy. Greeks, they don't want to work. So I had to come into that perception of my
Greek
heritage and my
stereotypes.
background. Oh, you're Greek. How's the economy doing? I probably heard that initially when I came in, like 25-30% of the time that I was meeting someone new.
So interesting because like I would never ask someone a question like that. I would literally never look at someone and be like, "You're Greek? How's the economy?"
Yeah. How poor are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Who's asking you that? To give context, though, and maybe this is pre your track into business and finance, but Voss works in data and revenue and accounting and finance and numbers and math and money. So all of this stuff is like an interest of yours to just have that as a baseline of knowledge, but also like you were in a business school in like a space where you would be having conversations like that with people because it would be interesting for them to be like, oh, interesting
Hmm.
in the context of this classroom or this environment or these relationships.
Yeah, it's a great point, but that wasn't the case. It was random people on the street. Yeah.
Yeah, great point, but absolutely not.
Yeah. No, it was just randoms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, You found yourself in California. You loved it so much you stayed.
Mm.
Let's fast forward and give the people what they really want.
Mm. So you're telling me that people are here for you?
No, the people are here for us, but mostly me.
Yeah.
Honestly, after this episode, they're probably going to come back for you, but they still have me for right now.
They're still
And
glued.
Amanda, we miss you, Amanda. When we first sat down, I found ourselves doing what Amanda and I always do is like we were sitting down to set up and we like didn't have the mics turned on yet. And we started to banter. We started to talk. And I was like, wait, we have to stop. We have to stop. We have to turn on the microphones. And that's what Amanda and I do all the time. We're like, hey, as we're setting up, we're like starting to chat. And then we're like, shut the fuck up. We need to get on the mic. But here we are. But
Shout out, Amanda. Thank you for letting me steal your spotlight for an episode.
a shared spotlight for those worthy. You are more than worthy. I think the people want to know how we met because you're in California and I'm in Colorado. How in the world did we find ourselves to one another?
Yeah. You want me to go about my story?
Well, I think we can both tell our stories and then I want to do first impressions.
Mm.
I, to give context, was traveling to the Bay Area, Berkeley specifically, to visit a friend who just had a baby. And she was like, come meet my baby, come out and let's go to this show and see a concert in San Francisco. And I was just like so excited about this trip. I really needed this trip. And yeah, I flew out and I found myself in Berkeley. And the first night that I got there, I was just like exhausted from my flight. And I was just like, oh, I just want to like chill and hang out. And she was like, yeah, we're going to this dinner party. And I was like, just so not in the mood to talk to anyone, you know, and you're just like, fuck, I'm at the helm of other people's plans, but it's fine. And it's small talk. You have to like meet all these faces that you don't know. And she was like, it's this beautiful house. It's overlooking the bay. They always make like this amazing food. Alec knows them from the business school, or her husband knows them from the business school. They went to Haas Business School at Berkeley. And I was like, whatever. Fine, let's go. And we walk into this house, and the first thing I said was, oh my God, I want to live here. And I spoke it into existence because I will be living there.
Dun, 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 dun.
My friend Rocky was like, yeah, you know, one of their roommates is like this really cute Greek tennis player. And I just at the time was like, okay, like cool. Didn't really think anything else about it. Wasn't looking. Was kind of like still healing from my own shit and was just like, okay, great point, but I'm not going to do anything with that. And then I walked in and I didn't see anyone sexy in Greek. And then
I came. Yeah. You didn't see anyone because I wasn't there.
Exactly.
Mm. Yeah, it was a Monday. I still remember it.
It was a Monday.
And I'm walking back this high uphill from work because we'll have to walk. And I'm all sweaty. It was early October. Still hot in Berkeley. And I walk in, I open the door, and I see you amongst other people, but I see you sitting there. I'm like, who's this person? I had no idea of this event until like 10 minutes ago. So I was barely thinking about it. I was, I'm waking up and I'm thinking about a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do, like when you come back to your house,
just walk into a fuckload of people.
Yeah. Like I love my roommates. I enjoyed my time with all of them, but sometimes you just need your own time and get into your space. But I come back and I see you. You're glowing, literally. You were glowing. The sun was setting slowly. We have amazing views of the Bay Area. So it was Jessa, and behind it was the views. So I put my game face on, go downstairs. I don't talk to anyone. I literally just go downstairs. I change my clothes, brush my teeth, come back up, and slowly started like filling the space out, kind of seeing what the energy is. Introduced myself eventually, right? And
I couldn't say your name.
You couldn't say my name, obviously, but now you can pretty thoroughly.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you want to try?
Basilis.
Okay. Last name?
Iliopoulos.
That's pretty good. Yeah, and then we started feeding you pizza. We had a pizza oven.
That was one of our first things is he couldn't pronounce the word oven. So he kept saying oven. And then we had an inside joke all of a sudden.
Yeah. And had a fantastic night celebrating Alex's birthday and got your number after, a lot of back and forth. Like at the very end of the night, I got
Yeah.
your number.
It was very much like one of those scenarios where we were both trying not to be too attached to each other all night. So it's like you talk and then like you mingle and then you talk and then you mingle, but you like are still kind of like trying to find your way to like be near that person to just like have another conversation. Like there's like an open spot, you kind of just like slowly move your way over. And then by the end of the night, he was feeding me pizza like in my mouth. Like, and I was like, all right. And then we exchanged numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I genuinely like, I don't necessarily know that I was like, I'm never going to see him again, but I also wasn't like, oh, I'm going to spend a bunch of time with him while I'm here. I was just kind of like, yeah, sure, let's exchange numbers and like see what's up. And then you texted me that night, green flag,
Yeah, I did.
and referenced our inside joke about the oven.
I did. Yeah, I was in my bed about to fall asleep.
Mm.
And I was buzzing because I was.
Because you were in love.
Yeah, I was. So I texted you, and then you texted me back, and then I got butterflies in my stomach.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny when you say that I was feeding you pizza. It's funny how one of our most genuine moments stems from food, and you've experienced food here, and how we Greeks break bread, come around, and mingle and talk while we eat. It's a big part of our culture.
Yeah,
So
it's a way to show love.
Yeah, I'm glad we brought that to our story.
Yeah, it's a
Early
way
on.
to say,
Yeah.
like, I see you. I love you. Not just like,
I feel you.
yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of conversations about food for an episode that's for a different time, but because so much beautiful interaction and beautiful like love sharing and love making happens like around the table and around food and cooking and dining and finding places, but also like how vulnerable that space is. Specifically, you guys have heard like from me and my relationship to food and everything, and how great you've been to help me work through that and heal that, and we're indulging and we're enjoying. But yes, the very start of everything was feeding the pizza. And then I received a text like 2 days later or something. I was there for the week, and the couple that I was visiting, they were actually going on a trip, so I was supposed to just stay and house sit after we went to the concert and watch their dog and stuff. So I actually had the week
Remy.
completely free. And I got a text that was a picture of the view that said, "Will you explore the bay with me? Yes or no?"
I said yes or yes.
Oh,
I gave you no choice.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I added a new choice at the bottom and I wrote, "Duh." And I sent the photo back. And then we spent the week together
Mm-hmm.
exploring the bay.
That we did.
When did you know you really liked me? Or what was your first impression of me? That's a better question. And then you can answer when you fell in love with me.
I thought that your energy was so vibrant. Like I felt you around the house in our living room, even when we weren't talking. Like I knew exactly where you were, what you were doing. The cat dying downstairs, but
Yeah.
no biggie. I thought you were very kind, very articulate with, what your story is, how you present yourself. I liked your independence. Like you didn't need to be around people all the time. You were fine being alone in a public setting. So I thought that was a sign of, your ability to be on your own and do your thing without needing support or gratification or just overall acknowledgement by people. I don't know, you've worked on that a lot from the past. So you seemed very intriguing to me in like everything that you brought to the table. So I was like, all right, like let's see this through. Like I've been waiting to meet someone that ignited some of those feelings to me, and that's how it was kickstarted on my end. I was intrigued.
I love that answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really sweet. I thought something that I love about you that I noticed immediately was a lot of similar qualities in terms of like your ability to stay calm and independent and just like very fluid, talking, chilling, eating alone, upstairs, downstairs, like just very fluid in the space. And also, I think that many people are initially attracted to the person in the room with the most to say because they grab people's attention and they're the jokester and they're the like person who is captivating, right? But you just seem so sure of yourself that it not necessarily you're not someone who like only speaks when spoken to. I wouldn't put it that way, but like you are very selective with when you speak and who you speak to, that every time you speak, it feels very intentional.
Hmm.
And I noticed that. And that was really attractive to me that someone who knows themselves really well doesn't need validation from other people by trying to be funny, trying to be loud, trying to be the comic, trying to pour everyone drinks, trying to like steal the show.
Yeah.
And then you were just so chivalrous and so like such a true, kind gentleman when we started to hang out. I mean, like, yes, the classics like hold the door for me, open my car door, like pay for the bill, those kind of things, but also just like kind, really soft, really gentle, really kind. A way that I always describe Voss to people is that you're just so gentle. Like, you're just really a soft person. That doesn't mean that you don't have a lot of like drive and integrity and motivation and like the most self-control I've ever seen in someone, but you do it in a way that's like so like your edges are so rounded. You still have like form and structure and shape, but like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So, yes, we could sit here all day and compliment each other. But first impressions were real. We spent the week together. We had an amazing time. At the end of the week, I was kind of like, bye. And I'm going home. And then you were like, wait, where are you going?
Yeah, what's up?
Why? What do you mean? You're going back to your life. And we had to have some really open discussions when we first started talking about like what we were and were not ready for. And I think something that I also really appreciated and I will draw to European versus American standard is your directness with what you wanted and what you were looking for and what you deserved. And it was very much just like, hey, I'm interested in you. I want to pursue getting to know you. What are we going to do about that? Because like I'm not here to play games. Like I know what I want and what I deserve and what I'm looking for. So like, because I was kind of flaky and floaty in the beginning.
Yeah.
And not purposely, like mostly just because I was genuinely like A, nervous about the feelings that I felt so quickly, and B, just like thinking, I think after you go through a really big breakup after a long relationship, like you think that there's this latency period where you're like, I need to heal myself. I need to be alone in order to heal, and I need to like figure my own shit out, and I'm not ready. And while that is true, while I do encourage people to like take time to really kind of come to and put both feet on the ground after something that really hurts, I think I was also almost resisting something that felt so natural and so special because I was like, this is wrong. This is too fast. I'm not healed. I'm not ready. And you held a lot of space for me to like still move through a lot of emotion about my own vulnerability and my own ability to be like emotionally connected to someone else. And then, I think at one point I literally told you, like, no, don't come visit me. I can't, no.
Yeah.
And the way that you responded to it was exactly why I fell even harder for you because there was just like, okay, no worries, no rush. Like, I'm still gonna respect you. I'm still gonna be here for you. I still like you just handled it so much early. So then we just kept talking, talking, and then we visited each other. And the rest was history, and now we're on a beach in Greece.
Copyright that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I'm done doing long distance. I'm over it. But I think it built a beautiful foundation for us to learn who we are to ourselves in relation to one another and build, like, people lose themselves a lot in relationships because by nature of being near someone that you're starting a relationship with, like, you inherently want to spend a bunch of time with them, of course. And I think because we couldn't and we had to be really intentional about the time that we spent with each other and the amount that we talked, it still allowed us to like see the other person in their own, in your element, which is what's sexy to me, which is what's so attractive, is that like you have your life, you have your personality, you have your friends, you have your independence in your career and your own motivations. And like, same, kind of. I'm like, I'm just here to chill, but
I'm just a chill guy.
yeah, just a chill guy. But now that we've built that trust of, I don't need to text you and talk to you all day, every day. I don't need to know who you're going out with and what you're doing all the time. Like something that other people might think that they would freak out about because they're not lax enough to like not be so dependent on the other person. I think that that really set us up for, like we started this episode, like really productive conversation, really open and raw emotional exchanges.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was also very hard for me in the beginning because I really liked you. We had an amazing time together, and there you go, fly back to Colorado, and yes, you were flaky at first, and part of it was to protect yourself, and I knew that. I didn't know right away, what your history was in terms of your relationship before we met. But once you told me, I was like, okay, this makes sense. I don't want to push it too much. But I still like you. So like I'm gonna shoot my shot, tell you how I feel, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm gonna be okay and in good terms with myself that I tried. That's something that I think us men have like somewhat of a stigma on. Like you see a beautiful person on the street and or you meet someone and you don't go for it. And then you're like, well, like you regret it. And I've done that in the past, and with you I wasn't gonna let that moment slip.
Do you regret it?
That is to come. We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did. And here we are.
And here we are. But at the same time, I think there's two sides to the coin. And as much as we were able to develop and grow outside of like us being in close proximity to one another, we come to this moment now, right? Like spending 2 weeks in a row together and
two more to come.
And two more, and then hopefully more weeks from there, right?
A
And yeah. Dun, dun, dun. And there's things that we have to figure out.
Yeah.
Like living together.
Like you're snoring.
Like
And the way
my
that you lick
snoring.
the cap off the toothpaste.
That as well. I'm not gonna put your dirty
Come on,
laundry in.
put me on blast. You get two things. I chose your snoring and the cap off the toothpaste. Be nice though.
You love to, obviously, the air conditioning, especially with heat. Like I like a cool room, but just not a freezing tundra room. You like the tundra room for when you wake up, you can barely talk.
Yes.
You're like, good morning.
My lips are blue and I'm like, I'm literally frozen. Yeah. Okay. That's one.
So yeah, that. And I mean, that's the typical like dealing with a girl, like hairs everywhere on the ground. Like there's clothes everywhere. I'm picking up after like.
There is not clothes everywhere. Go look in there right now.
I think today is a special.
I will not take this slander. I keep the apartment clean.
You do keep it clean.
Anyways, when we have 3 rooms in our house, one of the rooms will just be dedicated to all my shit.
Dedicated to the laundry.
Anyways, yes, we have a lot to learn and we're excited about it. And I think that's what we keep talking about is even through the conflict, like something that's so special to me is we're here for each other and we're learning and we're doing the best we can. And we haven't really fought. We just like have these moments of irritability, which we're navigating. But I think that's so normal and so recognized that like we're going to come into a learning curve. Like when you choose to share your life with someone, whether short term or long term, or you don't even need to know how much term, you have to make compromises, you have to make sacrifices, and you have to learn about yourself along the way. And that's the hardest part, right? Because you're learning about someone else, and that's beautiful and enthralling and also irritating and also like all the things at once. But if you are willing to do the work to look deeper at yourself, then the relationship can move forward. Relationships, in my opinion, become stagnant when you stop becoming willing to make change in yourself and do work within yourself.
Yeah, and it's also fascinating seeing you trying to make change based on my needs, right? And vice versa. I assume that the little change that I have done over the last 2 weeks has satisfied your needs. Um, but it can be a lot. And I think going back to talking and really touching base as to where we are, both of us, at that point in time and how we're feeling. Maybe it's not direct, instantaneous as we would love it to be. Like, okay, like tell me how you feel. I feel overwhelmed. I feel sad, but I also feel happy and excited. So that for me has been very hard historically. Um, and as you give me the space to talk, I get more and more confident to say something that you might not like.
Yeah.
And that's very important for me, communicating that. So the more uncomfortable we get in those settings, I think to your point, the better the growth and the better the momentum that we can get into getting to know each other and fuck around.
And have fun.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're just here to have fun. We're here to love each other and experience life and learn and play and make love
And repeat.
and repeat. Okay, let's leave people on one final piece of relationship advice. You can choose your category. It can be dating someone internationally, it can be long distance, it can be just general conflict resolution. What is something that really sticks out to you right now as a piece of advice that you are really keen to give someone?
When it comes to dating
Yeah,
specifically or
yeah.
meeting someone?
Anything, whatever resonates with you.
For me, I think it stems down to my self-work. Like, do I know myself? Do I know who I am? Am I comfortable and confident enough to meet someone new and really be truthful about all the aspects of my character?
So give people an action item for advice.
Think self-work, like really diving deep into your heritage, your childhood, like understanding like who the people were that affected you in your life and are currently like impacting you, and how you show up as a person day to day. And that will translate into, for example, me meeting you. And I'm not going to lie about who I am. I'm comfortable with sharing that, hey, I come from Greece. I can be irritating. I can be very persistent and peculiar sometimes, but I'm also very loving and real. And like I have a strong will and I'm willing to help the people alongside me to achieve their goals and their dreams. So if you're attracted to that, cool. Come along and we can have a good time and have fun. If you're not, it's fine because I have done the self-work to be okay with rejection, to be okay with not having it the way that I've envisioned or imagined my life.
Right.
So I think it stems in that truthful core like learning that you can do. It never stops, really. So it's like that vicious circle that goes on and on and on with relationships, yourself, and the world around you that keeps life interesting and avoids stagnancy.
So, to boil it down, you're telling people to do the self-work,
Yeah, do the self-work.
to learn about
There's always
themselves.
things to find out.
Sure.
That's my advice.
Beautiful.
What about you?
A similar vein, but I think that my advice is put yourself out of your comfort zone. whether that is asking someone out that you maybe feel like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to do so, whether that's responding to someone who asked you out by saying, hey, I need more time. I'm not ready. I don't feel like I'm emotionally open. Or whether that's taking the leap or whatever you feel is putting yourself outside of your comfort zone and like pushing yourself to a space where you can learn and know that everything's going to be okay. Like you can't make a wrong decision. And when you act upon your intuition, like there's no such thing as right or wrong. There just is what it is. So connect with yourself by learning about yourself and then make relationship decisions based on intuition, not based on what people tell you to do, how people tell you to date, how they tell you to show up in a relationship. Like we get so stuck in these categorical boxes that are created for us about how to be a good partner, at what point you should move in together, when should you get the dog, when should you get the house, when should you put the ring on the finger, like all of these things that people are so busy trying to check off. My boyfriend does and doesn't do this for me. I like do and don't do this for him or them or whatever. But I think that removing some of those boundaries or removing some of those like preconditioned expectations can feel a little uncomfortable and can put you out of your comfort zone to be fully, like we've been saying, like living and breathing and existing in the present. And I think that those things, like your future and your compatibility of how you want to live and how you want to exist, are important to talk about. But like, don't get too caught up in those. So from step one of like meeting someone and shooting your shot all the way through like maintaining a sustainable and powerful relationship, get out of your comfort zone, lead with your intuition, leave expectations behind,
Yeah,
live in the present.
I love that.
Love you.
I love you.
We will see you. I will see you next week. And big round of applause to Zeus for his first ever podcast feature, right? You've never been on a podcast before, right? You've never
Never been. Yeah, never been on a podcast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I get to play a little part in your journey. And I wish you and Amanda all the best.
What are we signing off with? I wish you and Amanda all the best. Swan dives off the roof.
Hey, I want to finish this with a good wish for you guys.
Okay, in Greek.
Είστε απίστευτες, να σκίσετε. You guys rock. Let's get it.
Σε αγαπώ, μωράκι μου.
Σε αγαπώ, μωράκι μου.